Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Fab's in the house, and welcome back to the channel. Today I got two iconic mirrorless full-frame high-resolution cameras on the table, ready for a quick comparison. Leica M11, of course, and Sony RX1R Mark II right over here. These are, spectacular cameras, like incredible, beautiful, pro mirrorless camera, I would call them, where you have a 60 megapixel full frame sensor right over here, and you have a 42 megapixel sensor right over here. The difference is that this one was introduced in 2015, and this is a 2022 model. So there is 7 years in between these two guys, and let's check if the age difference is gonna be mattering. Now, this video is shot in 2024, and this is very relevant, but this one, I am telling you, is probably the oldest camera that can still keep up after, this is 2015, this is 9 years old technology. Guys, it's incredible today how this thing can keep up with this thing right over here. And I mean, price difference is massive. This one was, I believe, around 3,500, like in that ballpark when it was new. Now, you can buy these on eBay every day for like 2,000 and probably less. This one, to get a second-hand one, it's going to be 6,000 for the body plus 3,000 for the lens. So way more expensive than this one. But we are in the same kinda segment for the high-end compact, I mean, kinda compact full frame camera. So you get to see, these two beauties, one next to each other. Let's do it like that, like face to face. You have a 2022 camera and you have a 2015 camera. You have 60 megapixel, you have 42 megapixel. This one is the R version, so there's no anti-aliasing filter on this one. You get ISO 64 for the Leica base ISO. I believe this is 100 ISO, which can be pushed down to 50 ISO. This, of course, has a Leica M mount. All right, and this Sony over here doesn't have no mount. This is a fixed lens, so you're not going to be able to interchange the lens, but you get a Zeiss Sonnar 35mm f2. This is, I mean, not fair, because I mean here we have an extra stop. We have a 1.4, so a Summicron would be more suitable for this comparison. But I don't have a Summicron. I just gotta do the comparison with that. But anyways, it's 35 millimeters. Still comparable to that point. This is only optical rangefinder. I mean, you can buy an electronic viewfinder, but it's an accessory. Whereas this little fella has a finder, that pops up, and this is a EVF, which is disguised and just pops up just to keep the sleekness of the design intact. So you get an EVF right over here with the 2.3 million dots. That's pretty cool. You get 5 frames per second on the Sony, whereas the Leica is a little bit slower at 4.5 frames per second. There's no video mode in this one, and in this one you can shoot up to full HD, 1920, 1080p. They both have wireless function. They can communicate with wireless networks. This one has an extra advantage, the body at least, which is weather sealed. This fella over here, forget about it. There's no weather sealing going on the Sony. So, something to keep in mind. Leica also has 64 gigabyte of internal storage. So beside being able to use like cards, of course, you get 64 gigabytes, pretty much like an extra card embedded in the body versus none in the Sony. The Leica M has a touch screen. So you can actually, I don't know if you can see it now, of course, you can touch this. You cannot touch anything over here. This is just like a regular screen, but this screen is tiltable, whereas this screen over here is just fixed. It's stationary. You can't do much with that. Of course, one reason why you would want the Leica would be the resolution. The sheer resolution of the Leica, 60 megapixel versus 42 megapixel, it might be already one deciding factor. You have 18 extra megapixel in this one. Not that this one, not that 42 megapixel is not enough, but if you're doing big prints, definitely you want to take advantage of those 18 extra megapixel over there, maybe for even like cropping. The ISO goes up to 50,000 against the 25,000 of the Sony. Of course, the LCD resolution in the back, it's 2.3 million dots versus 1.3 million dots on the Sony. I mean, it's on old technology. It's 9 years old, guys. So don't, no, I'm not whining. I'm just comparing these two. For example, battery life, big issue with the Sony. And I mean, hello, what is this? This is like the smallest battery ever made, and I mean, of course you're gonna have if I can make 200 shots on this one, I'll be happy. With this one I can make 700-800 shots, no problem. So keep that in mind, because you're gonna definitely need extra battery on the Sony, which this guy goes in like so, locks in place and just closes the flap. This one, the Leica, has a little bit more color depth and more dynamic range. More importantly, this is going to be 14.8 versus 13.9 of the Sony. So you get pretty much an extra stop of dynamic range and better low light performance on the Leica, which is infamous for, the performance in low light, but still they managed to do a pretty good job on the M11. I'm in love. Another big deal, of course, is the USB 3 that you have right over here with the C, 3.2 C connector, and the connector over here is the USB 2. So you have 400 megabit per second in the Sony for data transfer, and this guy is going to be 5 gigabit per second. So there's no comparison whatsoever under that aspect. But there are some aspects when you will want to go with this. I mean, hello, size. I mean, size-wise, there's no comparison like whatsoever. Like it's, guys, not comparable. This you can almost toss in like a sweatpants, or for sure in a large pocket in your jacket. This is going to be a little bit more difficult, more troublesome, also because of the weight. So keep that in mind. Weight and size, of course, no brainer. We're not even talking about that factor. Weight, size, forget about it. You get viewfinder, magnification is pretty much the same thing. You get, of course, autofocus and manual focus. That's going to be massive criteria to pick the Sony over the Leica. You get face recognition, with this little thing over here. With this one, you don't get anything. You only have manual focus done through the optical rangefinder right over here, or eventually with an external EVF that's gonna set you back some other dollars, not cheap, I'm saying, but good quality nonetheless. So it would be comparable to this one, but it would be also, again, sticking out, ruin the design, kind of like the same deal that you have with this pop-up EVF. You have a microphone port right over here, plug-in power, the red one, which is of course needed to record video if you want to add an external mic, which you cannot do on the Leica. Another thing to consider. Because of the lower resolution, you're going to have a pixel pitch that is going to be smaller because, bigger because of the less denser packing of the pixel in the same surface, because both are full frame cameras. You get 5 stops of bracketing range over here, and you get 3 stops on the Leica. Not a big deal. You have near-field communication connectivity with compatible devices. For the Sony, is nothing on the Leica. Of course, you get smartphone connection for both of the cameras, and this smartphone connection is going to be much nicer, much more advanced than this one. There's just like some apps you can download through the Play thing app. I forgot the name. Anyways, the support of this camera is pretty much gone. This one is running on firmware 1.0. Guys, come on. It's a fantastic camera. I still think this deserves like definitely a Mark III. 100%. A revisited version with the flaws fixed of this one, it would be a killer camera. Let's do it. Come on, it's done. Just do it. It's incredible that there's no firmware updated this one to this date in 2024. Never updated. This one, of course, is slow, but still they're fixing the bugs, introducing new features, a little bit tweaking. So I appreciate the continued support that you have on the M11. Of course, this is a 2022 model compared to 2015, so I'm not complaining. I'm just stating facts. And also another thing that you want to consider when buying these things is that there's no integrated flash, so you're gonna require some external flash to take pictures with flash. I mean, consider the weather sealing a factor if you're shooting outdoor. That's gonna be also something you want to know. Also, if you check the DxOMark scores, you would say that the overall score, I believe this was like 100 for the M11 and 97 for the sensor on the Sony, with 26.3 bits color depth and 25.8 color bits right over here. A little bit more dynamic range on the M11 with a little bit better performance on the high ISO section. So, I mean, both are fantastic full frame cameras with very high resolution center. You get optical built-in finder on this one. You get a fantastic design, incredible iconic look, of course, on the Leica. This one kinda tends to mimic in a way the classic lines, without of course achieving that, but still Sony, obviously like resembling like a more modern take on the camera, still has some manual dials like knurled with the detent that clicks beautifully, exactly like it would click on a Leica. Ergonomically speaking, these are not the best. I mean, you have to add a little bit of a thumb grip. There's not much grip over here. For my big paws, of course, come on guys, this stays in my hand. So it's a little bit tiny for me, but you can buy an accessory, an extra grip right over here. For people with smaller hands, this would be a no-brainer, would be fantastic thing to handle. Also, like another thing is, these are small bodies. So the form factor, the fact that these are beautifully crafted and with a very small form factor, it's a huge plus. You can use live view on both of them, and you can handheld them far from your face, or in both cases you can use the viewfinder, optical and EVF, or optional EVF on this one. So both are achieving a 1/4000th of a second for the fastest shutter speed. So they're pretty good in broad daylight. So you're not going to be needing an ND filter. kinda technically, unless you're shooting like in direct, you know, in the sun. So very compact bodies, very alluring cameras, very capable full frame systems that I happen to have and use both for different occasions, different situations, but that I think that both are needed into a professional photographer camera bag, especially this one. This is the perfect companion when you want to go scouting but still retaining high quality images, or if you want to go just on a light trip but still being able to capture gorgeous bokeh, because the Sonar f2 and at close distances is going to be fantastic. This thing is the ultimate experience, is when you have like a Ferrari and you take it out for the weekend for a stroll with your lady, you know, and you remove the top and you enjoy the breeze in your hair. This is what it is. This is more like a workhorse that you would use during the week, right? So there you have it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned.